Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Peter Buick here. Welcome to another exciting edition of SAAS Friday, which is such a hard thing to say. I really should come up with something easier to call it, but there we go. So let's get this underway. Let me just pop the comments out. I think I can do that. Pop out the chat. There we go. Let's stick that over there. Right, so I should be able to see your questions if you type them into the little chat box near the video. Let me just very slickly change over to the slides. Okay, so let's just do that. There we go, and you can see it, I believe, which is fantastic. At least I think you can. Let me just have one quick look, and maybe it will. There we go. Okay, so there's a bit of a lag. Alright, fantastic. So welcome to tonight's edition of SAAS Friday. I'm Peter Buick, your host, and this is aimed at SaaS owners, but it also applies to pretty much any business really, particularly what we're going to talk about today. And today is about not becoming extinct like a dinosaur. You see, that's the picture of a dinosaur. I hope that wasn't lost on you. Because, you know, SaaSes can go out of business very easily, and that's a bit of an issue. So I'm going to try and do something which isn't natural to me, which is to try and do this in 20 minutes. So yeah, I kind of like talking forever. So I'm going to kind of get to the main point, and we might finish in a strange place, but then we'll pick it up next week. So yeah, there are basically lots of different phases in the entrepreneur's journey, and as I say, the one we picked today is the extinction phase. So that may not hopefully be where you're at the moment, but that's what we're going to cover, because it's actually more about planning than letting it happen. So I'm sure you're familiar with the problems, or you've seen other people have the problems where they can burn out. Their dreams, they become too disillusioned in their dreams. It turns into some sort of nightmare because of some sort of reason, or some disaster happens, like they have a security leak, or their infrastructure crashes, or like happened recently, one guy deleted the entire customer database or something for the last 24 hours. But luckily they restored it from the backup or something, but it was a bit embarrassing. So all these things happening, and it doesn't stop or start, I don't know which way to say that now, with getting people to sign up. It's also about keeping them on board, because the great thing about a SaaS model basically is recurring income. But to be a recurring income, obviously they have to stay. So that's a bit of an issue. So what's the difference between a healthy, long-living SaaS and one that goes extinct? Let me just film that out to you. Okay, so you can answer that anytime, even after the web show, even after the live cast, if you like, because I'll still see them coming in and I can still respond. So let me what do you think the reasons are why SaaSes go extinct, and how can we stop that? So I'm going to suggest something that I'm calling a framework. That's a very posh word for kind of a plan. And we haven't got time to go through all these details first, but basically we need to have it on a solid footing, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. The product to market fit is one of the biggest problems that most people have. And the other thing we're going to uncover tonight really is that we need solid data, because it's very easy to get data and we can be guided in one direction with that, and it cannot be true. Carving out a space is one we'll do in another show. It's really my process for being successful in any niche, regardless of the odds. I know that sounds very arrogant, but I'll explain that when we get to it. So the first thing we really need to do is just to really, just read or make sure we understand what we mean by what a business is. What is a business? What is a business? Let me farm that out to you. Okay, so let's see, what people think. So is a business, the idea, is it the infrastructure, is it the team, is it your marketing, what kind of thing, is it? Put your answers in there. Let's see what you think. Okay, so I'm just going to wait a second for that to come in because I do have a little bit of a time lag with this. So, as we mentioned last week, we really need to define our 5 W's, which is who, what, why, when, and how. And the W in the how is at the end. I didn't invent that saying, but anyway. And then how do we reach out to our ideal clients? And particularly bear in mind that it can take 7 to 15 touch points. In other words, you have to be in front of them 7 to 15 times before they start to take you seriously and consider signing up, maybe about number 11 or 12 or something. So we can't normally just hit them once and it will happen. And as I said at the beginning, this isn't just a problem for the start. We have this problem because we're a recurring business, recurring model, that we have to keep the customers. And again, we may need multiple touch points to remind them of the value that we're offering. And then the big thing, which I think will be one of the big takeaways for tonight, already 6 minutes in, so I've really got to get on with it, is knowing what our audience want to hear, or what they need to hear. Because that's the big thing. It doesn't matter what you think, or what I think, or what your friend thinks. It's what the customers think and what they need to hear to keep them going, to remove their roadblocks, and hence to get value out of your service. Because if there's something stopping them doing what they need to do, then they're not going to get the value out of your SaaS to do that, and that's a big problem. So we have to make sure that we know what our clients' objections are, so that we can deal with them and help them with that kind of thing. So there we go. Actually, I think I've missed one here. So what is a business? And the bottom line, the number one, inexcusable, you can't argue with it, is it's about paying clients. Okay, it's very simple. I know that seems ridiculously simple, but it's amazing how many people don't understand that. It's not how many clients you've signed up for a demo. It's not how many people follow you or know your name. It's literally how many people give you money for your recurring SaaS model. So how do we make sure in advance that we're going to get these people to be paying clients? So where are our paying clients? Okay, so by that, obviously part of that is going to be where do they hang out. Part of that again is going to be what do we need to tell them, what do they need to hear to do it. But there's going to be more to it than that as to how we get them on board and to give us money. But paying clients is what defines a business. It's not how good the idea is. There are lots of terrible ideas that make money. It's not how well it's implemented or how neat or how beautiful the design is. There are lots of things out there which are ugly and poorly implemented, and they still make loads of money as well. So it's not to do with that. I know we have a lot of pride in what we do and we get really hung up on those kind of things, but simple stuff can sell very well. Even flawed and ugly looking stuff can sell really well. So that isn't the thing. So how do we make sure that we're going to take money, we're going to find these paying clients from the beginning? So the short answer, or the shortcut to this, is basically modeling. So by modeling we mean we look at an existing successful business and we work out what they're doing, how they're doing it, make sure that they're successful, and they're not just saying that they're successful, because that happens as well. And then we take them as an inspiration. We're not just going to clone them, because that would be rude. Not to mention all the other problems like intellectual property and all that. But we want to model on them and then be inspired by them, and then add some bits, like a USP or something, or just solve a problem differently or for different people, and and that's a very important one. So it might be let's just take accounts, because I always seem to fall back on that. It might be that you have an accounts package. So there are obviously loads of accounts packages out there, but if your accounts package is particularly addressing the needs of farmers or something like that, then although yours is still an accounts package, because the kind of categories and expenses and that kind of thing, and the way farmers think and work, and the way that their expenses might be done over time and all that kind of thing. If you do an accounts package specifically for farmers, then your USP is not that necessarily that your accounts package is any different. It's just that it's actually set up for farmers specifically. So by changing who you are talking to can change your USP. So it doesn't always have to be some extra whiz bang feature. So and making it work for a particular niche of people, that's kind of a reframing idea, and I'm going to talk about reframing twice if I get time in tonight's thing. Already 10 minutes in. So I recently had a problem, which is a bit of a silly problem. So I wanted to start a new SaaS, and I wanted to, it was starting off being a portal. I was doing the sales page, and it was basically a portal, and it was a thing that connected two kinds of people. So I had a button for, if you're type person A, click here. If you're type person B, type here. Click here, and that would take them to their own info packs and explain the deal for their particular thing. But then this is the silly bit. Then I wanted to get email from Amazon, and Amazon don't really like marketing people on their email service. They like transactional emails. So I sent this off to them, my A and the B person type thing, and they came back and rejected me, which was a bit of a blow. And I couldn't work out why, because I didn't think that I was being markety. I just wanted to send them an info pack depending on who they were, and that didn't seem to be an opt-in to me. That seemed to be a transaction. Anyway, they said no, and I talked to somebody about it, and he said that it looked like an opt-in. So I had to change, I had to reframe what I was doing. So it wasn't about reframing or rebuilding or changing the product in any way. It's still a thing, a portal that connects type A and to type B. But I had to present it differently on the page that I'm going to resubmit to Amazon to get the email to work. So basically what I had to do was I had to turn it into an offer. So I had to turn it into a trial. Now obviously it could be a free trial or a paid trial or a 7-day trial or whatever you want to do it. But basically they sign up for the trial. They specify which they are, A or the B, on the checkout page, and they pay the money or they get their free trial, whatever it is, and then the transactional emails go off to them. Now because we know what the offer is, and it's very plain from the front page that there is an offer, it's obviously not an opt-in, it's an offer. And when they buy the offer, if they're paying money or they subscribe to the offer, it's a free trial or whatever, however you're doing it, then that's when the transactional emails come in, and that will be a lot clearer, we hope, for Amazon. So very often it's not the idea we need to change, it's just the way that we present it or we reframe it. But that was an interesting exercise into making me think which way round I needed to do it. Actually, I've told you the other story, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So I've got another slide later on. So as I say, it's often about reframing. So the framework, we need to have it on a solid base. And one of the things that we need to decide on is that we can model it on success, which is what I just mentioned before. We look at a successful competitor and we change it up a bit, and we add our USP and that sort of thing. Pricing's a whole discussion itself. But is it popular enough? Now, if we're modelling success, that kind of intimates that it's popular enough, but is there enough room for you as well and to take market share? So I'm just going to look at that one in a minute. But so just one thing I want to clear up first is what what a niche is. Okay, let me throw that out to you. So what is a niche? So a lot of people will say it's the desires of a group of people, which is a good definition. Okay, but there's another side to that, which is a niche is not a small thing. It's not a big part of a small thing. Okay, because that still only gives you a small market, and usually the problem with taking market share from anything, from any market, is there's a limit, physical limit on the number of the percentage of people you can convert to your platform or your offer. So if we've got a small market and we've got this physical limitation of how many people we can convert, the size of our business is going to be very limited. So if the niche you pick is like 1 million people, and we can get 1% of those people, then we're still only looking at 10,000 people, which may sound few, but again they're not all going to sign up at once. That might be over a long time, and there is a market limit there as to what we can do. But mainly my point is that the effort and the energy that it will take to get 1% of that 1 million people will be a lot. It'll be a lot because it's a small market. The competitors are there. The people are, as responsive as they are, and there's only physically one of you, and you can only run so many ads in so many places at so many times. There's going to be a practical limit on what you can do. Now, if we take a bigger market, a broad market, a big demand thing, maybe where there's 100 million people in it, and we can find a subset of needs in that niche, then our chances of converting the 1% of them is actually easier than in the small market, because we've got more possibilities. There's more people that we can reach and dip into. There'll be more people in that market practically who are ready to take the offer, and again we'll be able to reach a certain number of them a lot easier. So I mean, if you think back in magazine advertising, if you advertise a half-page advert in a magazine with a readership of 2,000, then that's all your ad budget has gone into that one thing, and it doesn't matter if it's about the money so much, but there's only 2,000 people who can even potentially see your advert. Now, if you put the same advert half page in a magazine that gets 100,000 readers, then ignore the money for the moment. You can see that you can reach a lot more people with the same amount of effort. Okay. Now again, not all of those are going to sign up. The percentage might be higher, or it might be lower, but your chances of converting them are much, much higher. Now, with a magazine of that, increased readership, it might be more expensive, but it won't be, it'll be proportionally more expensive. It won't be, X times expensive. Okay, so that's just kind of one example of the way that the reach works, and it's the same with, if you do media buys on blogs. If the blog is a certain amount of popularity, certain number of people, or an e-zine list or a solo list, then if it's a small size, then that limits your potential. If it's a big reach, a very popular site, or a very large solo list, e-zine list, then your chances are greatly increased. Now it may be a bit more expensive again, but it's proportionally more expensive. It's not X times more expensive. So that's, but basically the reality of why, if we pick a bigger market and a subset of that, and that's our niche, then our chances of succeeding that are much, much greater. Now we're going to run out of time because I'm supposed to end now, but let me just finish this thought. Now the other thing is that people tend to think of a market as though it's a dartboard, a target. And that there are people out here, and then the people they want are here in the middle. It's not normally as convenient as that. So in the real world, the people are scattered all over the place, and in different sizes and proportions and whatever. And you might run an advert that reaches these people, and nothing happens because there's nobody that wants it. You might run an advert over here, again, nobody wants it. You might run an advert here, nobody wants it. You might run an advert and these people here, right between these two pockets of buyers, see it, and again, nobody's going to buy it because they're not the people who want it. So, how do we cope with this kind of pebble dash effect where the audience is basically, random, that, they're all in the same kind of industry, they all have the same kind of, interests and needs, but the people who are actually going to buy from us are these dark blue circles, and they're the ones we need to hit. And unfortunately, it's like the game of Battleships, where we can't actually see these pockets of buyers, and we can't target them in any way. All we know is that they're in this big, light blue circle, and we have to hope that we kind of get it. So how do we kind of pebble dash this to get this to work? Because the markets are fragmented, our buyers are fragmented. So the solution to fragmenting, which we'll go into in the other weeks as well, is basically we want to do some basic things. We want to do attraction marketing, whereby we put our brand out there and then people come to us rather than pushing it out to everybody in this light blue circle. We put it out at various points, and then because these people will be looking for what they want as well, they're not going to be static, so they will be looking in certain places. There might be some common places that they look, and they will find us through our attraction marketing, and then they'll come to us. Okay, so that's a good one, and we can also call that pull marketing, in the sense that we're not having to push it out to people. We're kind of genuinely sticking it out there for people to find a little bit on their own. Now the personal brand is another thing. If we just rely on direct marketing and just making an offer, we're very much dependent on the people who see it at the time, wanting to be being buyers, and that's gonna only give us the low-hanging fruit in that, and the low-hanging fruit market is something like 3% typically, and that may not be enough because we don't know which of the 3% our advertising is going to hit. It might be our 20th ad before we actually get to reach any of the 3% who are the low-hanging fruit. Again, we don't know where we're advertising in this circle. We only know that there is a circle and the people we want are in it, but how do we actually hit them? How do we reach them? Okay, because we can't see this map and we can't target them. So instead of direct marketing, if we actually advertise our brand and we get our brand known and people are talking about our brand and what we've done, and they're starting to recognize us, when they are ready to buy and they do see us, or they think who can I get this from, then they will start to think of us because we've advertised our brand. Now there are also places that we can go where they will kind of collect, particularly we can sign up with partners, JV partners, whatever, and easy owners and that kind of thing, because they've already done the work of finding these people and bringing them into one place. So yes, we have to give them a percentage, but if we want to get fast access to say 20,000 known buyers of a particular industry or topic, then a partner who's already got that list, that's obviously going to save us a lot of time and effort. And also the other great thing about these is normally, or quite often, we don't pay for this up front. We give them a commission, an affiliate commission, when we sell. So if we don't sell, we don't pay them. The more we sell, the more we pay them, but then the money's there to cover that. Now there are also some marketplaces where people will go, to find particular stuff, and for every industry there will be a marketplace somewhere. It may not be that obvious, but there will be a marketplace somewhere where you can have a presence again. And then the other thing that we're going to do, which is really part of our attraction marketing plan, really, is to diversify our reach through the format of assets, and we'll talk about those assets in another show. But basically what I'm saying is that it's very cheap and easy for us to put our assets out there. There are a lot of places that carry these assets are free or very low cost, and that's a great way of us having an effective ad budget and reaching as many people as we can, and again doing this attraction marketing whilst building our personal brand, whilst being in a place where these people kind of collect. Okay, so I really should kind of end about now, but I'm just going to do one more thing. So, and this is about bad data, and I'll just run through this quickly. We'll go through it in more detail another time. So, I thought I just had a whim of an idea that I wanted to look at, SaaS solutions that basically automated the Facebook principle. So, for instance, at the moment there are quite a few messenger bots coming out, and some of the growth hackers are predicting that the message bots will be one of the popular things of the future, and that now's the time to kind of clean up on that. So, the thing is, if you type in messenger bot, that may not be the way everyone else is describing it. So a lot of people might be saying, how do I automate Facebook, or how do I do auto replies, or how do I get message responses, or whatever. And using Facebook's Google suggests, when you type in a name, it gives you the current most popular search phrases that are happening, kind of about now. It's the nearest thing to live demand that we can get, from Google. Sometimes it's a bit questionable. I think they fudge some of the answers. But it gives us more of a clue than we've got anywhere else. So we can see that in terms of automating Facebook, the more traditional stuff like liking, posting content, automating adverts, that sort of thing is coming up. But we do actually have messenger responses in there. So that's starting to look hopeful, and we can see that it is one of the things, and that's how Google are classifying it. But is that the way the market is classifying it? And I can't remember what I looked at, but something suggested to me that they weren't using this technical term, because it's just that's a kind of a geek term, and they were saying things like auto reply. So that was starting to be a lot more lucrative. But then I thought I would go to, because that's Google search, I thought I'd go to Google AdSense to see how much traffic they thought there were, and how much the costs were. And again, the geeky terms are pretty expensive, £5.68 per click. It's not per lead, per click. That particular term there, the geeky term, very low demand, very low number of searches. Now at the moment they're all low competition, so that's encouraging, but the prices are very high, so that doesn't correlate with the low competition. But anyway, what is the demand here? And you can see again, these are only 100 searches per month, which over several merchants is not going to be anything, and even 1,000 a month isn't very good. So this isn't looking very what's the word, encouraging at the moment. So I did find one vendor, and they were selling a solution, but again it seems to be pretty low key, and I wasn't convinced how much market share they had. Also there's a one-time offer which kind of mucks up the recurring model, and it wasn't an agency version or anything, so it wasn't something that I could buy and really use for other people. So again, that was a bit discouraging. So Then I thought, we'd try the more sort of out and out terms, Facebook bots, and there's no demand for that. And again, there is. Here we go, and that was a bit bigger, a bit more reasonable cost, and getting nearer to the 100,000 things. So maybe Facebook bots was it, but what kind of bots? Because we've got chat bots, messenger bots. I think there's an ad bot going down there somewhere as well. So again, it wasn't very definitive. And again, looking at the other words, again, that wasn't that exciting. And then this stood out to me because all these other ones are pretty low demand, and then suddenly for advertising, we got 12,000 a month, which is a little bit more like it. Whereas all these other ones are low. Again, low competition. Some of the prices don't seem to correlate with that. But advertising actually seems to be where the demand is. And again, that's an interesting kind of thing, because remember what I said to you before about reframing. So, at this stage, it wasn't looking that hopeful, and I was thinking, well, there's nothing wrong, probably with the idea of a Facebook Messenger bot, or an auto-reply bot, whatever you want to call it, but maybe that isn't the way the market is looking at it. If it's part of advertising, which is a popular thing, then that's going to be a lot more potentially lucrative. Okay, so then I wanted to try and confirm any of that really. So then I went to Google Trends. Now we can see that Facebook itself, which is the red line here, is way more popular, like 75 times more popular than any of the other terms. You can also see that it's dropping off, which is kind of interesting. But with that on the map, we can't even see what the trends of these other things are, so I had to take that off. The other thing is, you can see that it's very popular. Facebook's very popular in the kind of the States and stuff, and then over here, they're more interested in social generally, and then there's a little bit of bot activity down there, and a bit of messenger activity down here, but not so much in the States. So again, these things are looking kind of fringe for the States, but more popular in maybe some other places. So again, if we look at the bots and stuff, there isn't enough data to even show up on the map. And then again, this is interesting, because I put in Facebook software at this point to see what other kind of software is available, and we can see that OBS, which is the live streaming software that I'm using today, is one of the most popular breakout terms in that. Now that's Facebook live streaming. Facebook live streaming is again probably part of marketing and advertising, more than just social or anything to do with automation as such. So again, that was another kind of reframing or hint that something else was probably going on. So live streaming looked popular, and that was good, but this is where the bad data comes in, because it seems like it was great and popular, and that's something that businesses wanted to do. But when I looked at the actual breakout terms, I could see that what was popular was actually not the business to business end, it's the consumer end, and it's basically people who want to watch sport and TV. So obviously things like cricket and football and whatever else is on at the moment, people are watching news, people are watching the live streams for that. That's what they're putting in to Google. You see, the problem with Google is it's a consumer platform, and it's telling us what people are looking for, not necessarily what businesses are looking for. So although this is a good indication that streaming generally is good, and if you were selling to businesses in the sports or TV world, this would be a good thing to do, because obviously there's a consumer demand for it. This isn't actually telling us what the consumer demand is. Okay, so it's bad data. I shouldn't get fake data, I click bad data. There we go. And again, we might need to reframe what we're thinking. I won't tell that story right now. So how do we get around this? How do we make sure that we're not using bad data from Google, because everything they do is basically based on either advertising or on consumer reaction, and that's not necessarily what the market demand is and what's selling it. So I put in, I can't remember which term I put in now. I think it's Facebook bots, and I did find a small amount, and there's searches for it, and there's a budget for it. And interesting that Messenger was spelt wrong, and that was one of their terms, although there's no traffic to support it. And we could see that some stuff was going on. Again, advertising raised its head in that it was way more stuff going on for advertising than for bots. So one of the things it did for the bots was it gave me 3 potential competitors who I wasn't sure of when I started out, I thought, and I could follow through on them to see what's going on. Now these people are actually doing their bots in terms of the global aspect of Facebook marketing and Facebook advertising, so that's how they're accessing the market. But they presumably are they're particularly about messaging, and how that fits into best practice of stuff, and then we can follow through on these people. Now I found 2 other people. Now one of them, the lab people I think is, they're more of a marketing consultancy, and they happen to use bots as part of that. But the other people, I think I've got it the right way around, it might be the other way around, the Flow Exo, they were more of a bot company. As I say, I might have got that the other one around. I think that's right. No, I've got it wrong around. So I've got it right around. So the lab people are the consultancy, as I said, and they're looking in the whole of the thing. We can see that they're not very sure about their advertising. The normal, what we want to see here is that there's a long line of the same colour, which means that they're advertising the same ad, and if they're doing that, it's because it's working. But we can see, like here, they keep changing their mind. It's not really working. They thought maybe this is working, and then they stopped again. So it's very much stop-start in this. So this particular form of advertising probably isn't working very well, or they haven't cracked it yet. But they were trying, but it's not panned out as great as it could be. And then these people were more bot people, I think. So it's a small hard to read, but so build a bot. And again, they're a bit more confident about their advertising. They've kind of filled most of the lines. This was the same ad, but they're spasmodic, and then up here again. So maybe, and you can see that they're doing about messenger bots, chat bots, messenger business. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. And that might not be either, but the first 2 are certainly bots, and these are the adverts they're kind of running. Maybe these are bots, but because they're from this company. But we need to look at that. So we can see that there are some competitors, and we can kind of see who they are, who are doing PPC, because this is SpyFu. This is a PPC ad analyzer. So the reason why this kind of works for modelling is because if they're spending money on adverts and they're going to do it for a while, then that intimates that the advert is working, and that must mean that they're getting more money in than they're spending on ads, unless they're crazy. And there are some crazy people out there who don't know what they're doing and will spend more money than they've got. But it gives us a clue and a potential look at the market size of this kind of thing going on. But basically it still kind of comes down to the bad data, because we're not sure what the market are asking for and what the market call it. All we can see is that in terms of what we call it and geeks call it, in terms of the word bot and everything. There's something going on, but we're not really sure how big it is. Okay, it's not very encouraging. In terms of this kind of thing, and so at this point, my main takeaway was that we're getting bad data, and it's even hard to model on because we're not seeing great competitors here. So it might be that we need to reframe the messaging, not the offer. If it's a messenger platform, it's a messenger platform. It's not that we need to redesign it or throw it away, or not build it or whatever. But we need to make sure that it's the product and market fit is there, and that we're calling it what they want, and we're putting it in the context of what we want. Now, what my takeaway from this little bit of research I did today is that we know that Facebook's very popular, although it's diminishing. We know that advertising is very popular, and we know that advertising is a part of marketing, and that anything to do with marketing reach is going to be kind of fall under that advertising umbrella. And we know that that's what businesses do. We're not looking at consumer appeal product or trend here. So, as I say, it might not be that the product's a bad idea or that the offer's a bad idea. It might be just that we need to reframe the offer and present this messenger platform as part of an advertising solution, a bit like the marketing consultants were doing, whichever one it was of these people. Those people. So that these people, Deviate Labs, they're into growth marketing. So they're presenting their bots as part of growth marketing, and that's a kind of a clue. Although again, it doesn't look very fantastic here. So we're still really looking for more proof, and more people to model our idea on. So we've just really scratched the surface. But I hope it's kind of making you think that the thing that's going to propel our business and make sure that it's stable and make sure we've got a stable base to work on is to make sure that the demand's there. And I've shown you the various tools like Google Search and Google AdSense, which are supposed to help us check the demand and everything. And it can be that it's not true. And even when we looked at Google Trends, even with the live streaming clue, it wasn't actually about businesses using live streaming. It was about consumers using live streaming. So we, as I say, that's kind of bad data because we're getting the wrong impression of what's going on. Unless our niche for our messenger happens to be football or cricket or whatever else it was, or TV, then it doesn't really help us that Google think that there's this big demand. Where's it gone? There's big demand of live streaming because they're looking at it from the consumer end, not from the business to business end. And we're looking at the business to business end, and we're not seeing a great proof that that's there either. So hopefully you're starting to think that we need to assess the data. And it could be that we can't really rely on it, and we have to do our own pre-launch or marketing tests, or even make up a little MVP, minimum viable product, to actually test what's going on. It could be that we just affiliate someone else's just to see what the demand is, but we need to find more competitors that we can model on, that we can see that they are actually successful, and we need to see the other ways that we can reach the market and the audience by putting it in their terms. Okay, so we've run out of time for today, so we'll carry on this kind of discussion next week, but I hope you found that interesting. So if you do, please comment if you found it interesting, and as I say, next time we'll cover more of it. So I'm double over the time that I wanted to do. I'm sorry about that, but I think it was worth covering. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.